Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our Thursday night Anam meditation program. With all my heart and with all my love, I welcome you to our program this evening. I'm delighted that you are joining us tonight. And I want to thank you also for the many ways that you support Anamkara, by coming to programs and making use of the offerings that we give through the website and through the Anamkara YouTube channel, through the e-newsletter, and through the donations that you make. So your support is deeply appreciated, and thank you for that, and thank you for sharing what we offer with others. We're just trying to make this as widely available to people as freely as possible. So thank you for supporting us in doing that. There's been a lot going on in the world, and so tonight I wanted to share something with you that is from Gently Falls Her Rain of Light. And this is a collection of, boy, hard to describe exactly what they are. They're gifts from the divine. They're gifts from my experiences in meditation, where what I refer to as the beloved, as Ma Kali, as the great mother, as the divine, in her many forms, often is speaking and providing these kinds of guidances and insights and inspirations. And there was one in particular that came through a while back, and I shared it once before, but it's, well, this time, maybe every time that we're in now, this particularly resonates with what's going on and how we can approach, how do we approach life? Because when we're doing practices, it's not just about the practice we do when we're doing mantra or the practices when we're doing a given practice, sitting for meditation, doing japa, adopting an idea of, or an ideal rather, of selfless service, of karma yoga. So these are all practices that we do, but they happen in a larger context. The context of our spirituality, the context of our meaning for what life is and what it's about. And this ties into just that. So I wanted to read this to you and discuss it some. At the end of the program, as we typically do, we'll have some time after the meditation and the close of the program. If anybody has any questions or anything that's coming to mind that they wanted to discuss, we'll have that open time to be able to do that. So this is a piece that's called Deep Longing, the Mystic's Way. We too often live in a state of deprivation, deep longing buried beneath layers of resignation and inadequate accommodations that can't dispel our soul's anguish. Softening the inner fortress we've built to shield us from the profound pain we've been told we must endure, told we deserve, told there's no escape from, told to sacrifice our sacred gifts, even our lives to the vision of ruling powers who built the cross on which we hang in agony. Softening, we search. We turn to religion and we're treated as unruly, undisciplined knaves, needing to be forcibly trained out of our state of toxic ignorance. Desperate for relief, we fall to our knees in obedience to spiritual tyrants, the same way fear-driven citizens hoping for relief give in to political despots and oligarchs. When the predators in power control myths and religions, the people accepting those delusions willingly obey their treacherous, self-serving leaders. Or even the grace-filled gifts of enlightened ones, avatars, sages, saints, Christ, Buddha, Muhammad, in the hands of predators become weapons, prisons, and brutal barriers of exclusion. Is not our state of anguish, our oft-denied state of desperation, a natural response to our deprivation? to our soul deadening, relentlessly exploiting materialist society? How we've been enculturated to seek relief through consumption and competition serves those in power, but our hearts and souls are tortured and starved. Don't blame yourself for not being nourished by the toxic gruel that is offered. Those blinded by power always blame their victims. The pain and anguish can point to what we really need. First, step away from the conditioned mind. First, step away from the conditioned mind. That's all our reactivity. So she's saying, one of the first things, step away. That's what our practices do. We keep stepping away from the conditioned mind. And she says, patiently listen deeply to your heart. Patiently listen deeply to our heart. The heart. The living presence of the infinite, the one, the divine within. The seat of that is the heart. Return to those depths in order to hear and listen deeply. That's partly why we have to step away from the reactivity of the conditioned mind. The grace-filled missives from holy mystics who have gone beyond all dogmas and religions hint at how to look within for genuine answers, for ineffable truths, for direct knowing that has always threatened religious and secular authorities. The wellspring of truth is within us. We can come to know that. Mystics are revolutionaries. You are a mystic. Throw off the bonds of convention, of collective delusion. Dare to ask yourself, how fully, completely loved do I feel every day? Oh, you dear, sweet soul, you deserve that every moment of every day. The divine within you is radiating that love right here, right now, always. Turn to the source for what you need. Ask yourself, how have my heart and soul been loved and nurtured and had their inherent worth reflected back to them from the time I was conceived? What did I learn about lovingly nourishing myself and others every day? Has my mind been loved and cared for in ways that nourish it and strengthen it to lovingly know and selflessly serve? Has my body been lovingly touched, appreciated, respected, and cared for as often as it genuinely needs? What we give our loving attention to flourishes, all else withers. What we give our loving attention to flourishes, all else withers. We have to be aware. What are we giving our loving attention to? What has the conditioned mind been demanding we give our attention to where it doesn't belong? So we have to re-empower ourselves to choose, what will I give my loving attention to? Because that will flourish. Watch where your attention goes. Exercise your power to step out of rote patterns of giving attention and love in ways that don't serve the truth of who you are and who others are as emanations of the divine. As a mystic, you reclaim the vision of the divine unfolding as all creation, including and embracing you and your life. You are empowered to act in accord with that deep truth. This is how mystics come to be viewed as revolutionaries. Material ambitions and success never meet the anguished cries of our souls in need of the divine's embrace. The graceful hints and practices passed on by mystics for thousands of years serve as starting points, not end points. Direct knowing unfolds in the sacred vessel of your heart, the true holy grail, the temple wherein the divine has always dwelt. Lovingly engage in practices, meditation, contemplation, seva, always lovingly. Meditation is the state of pure, all-embracing love. Unity beyond any concept of unity. Don't bring a stick to your meditation. Meditation, a state of bathing in the radiance of the infinite, the radiant love of the infinite, your own self, the self of all, the source of it all. This is what meditation is inviting us to know, to let go of all the ambitions, all the rules that the mind brings, the sticks it brings to meditation. How do we bathe in the light of the divine? How do we let go of doing to simply be in the company of the one that has become all, that is ourself, and everything about us? Everything about you is born of that, suffused with that. Your mind, your body, your thoughts, your everything, your entire life. But we need to shift our attention to come to know that what's holding all of that is the loving presence of our own infinitude of being. Wrap yourself in a soft shawl to remind yourself you are enveloped in love. Sit for meditation, wrapped in a shawl, wrapped in love. That's what we're invited to know, to do. We're empowered to do that. Wrap the mind in a shawl of wonder, gratitude, love, and awe as you sit in the divine presence. Here, you are lovingly invited to let go and let go, let go and let go into that love. Sitting in the presence of the divine. It's already here. There's nothing to do. You don't have to conjure it. You don't have to imagine it. It's just, letting go of all the things that fill the mind, that occlude our vision, so we don't experience that living presence. That's why it's letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go into love, letting go into the divine embrace, letting go to just bathe in the light of the infinite. That's what we're invited to do. Here you are lovingly invited to let go and let go, let go and let go into that love. Choose love. Choose love moment by moment. Choose love and you've chosen God. Choose love and you've chosen God. We make God so abstract, so distant, so disconnected. But love, that's immanent. That's present. We know that. We set that love free and realize that love is the presence of the infinite. And when it's unbounded by the mind, we get to experience the infinitude of that love. It's all-embracing, all-encompassing nature. That's you. Knowing that, you can live that into this world. Knowing that, you can feel the support of that living presence, that loving presence, at all times and all places. That's what empowers us to walk through the fires of the world. Hmm? Not putting on armor. No. Being enveloped in love. A cocoon of love. We can walk through this world radiating that. That's what hungry souls need. That's what beings suffering on this planet need. It's our loving presence, our caring presence, our compassionate presence. So we bring that and give that in just everyday life. Then we're carriers of that. The holy waters, the Holy Spirit. So many ways of speaking about this that our traditions, our wonderful traditions have. But we need to know it's alive for us, that we tap into that and live that into this world. Choose love moment by moment. Choose love, and you've chosen God. That's what it means to put God above all else. Put love above all. Put love above all. Why is that hard? The conditioned mind. The conditioned mind puts its reactivity above love, its impulses above love, its anger, its irritability, its wants, its demands, its needs. It keeps putting that above everything else. If we look at what we give our attention to throughout the day, that will give us a great insight into what do we truly value. Remember, loving attention, by giving our loving attention to something, it flourishes. What do we give our loving attention to throughout the day? What will flourish? Is it what we are consciously choosing? Or are we still in a reactive mode and giving our attention that's contracted and mitigated by all kinds of other feelings and impulses and past memories and all kinds of stuff? That's why we do the meditative practices, to help clear the mind, so that that living presence that is the truth of who you are blazes forth, illuminates your life, illuminates your mind, illuminates your body. Live in that luminous reality. That's what we're invited to. That's what we're invited to know. That's what mystics seek. That's what mystics long for. That is your deep longing, to know fully, completely, and be empowered to walk that into the world for the benefit of all. Put love above all. The mind will eventually discover what all mystics discover. The inexhaustible wellspring of love already within you will fill you forever. The inexhaustible wellspring of love will fill you forever. To know that again, we step out of the mind. The mind is like this tiny little thimble. The mind can hold so little. So it feels overwhelmed by the demands of love, of compassion, of living that into the world. Because it's going, I only have a thimbleful of that. So of course it's easily spent. But we throw the mind into the ocean of the infinite, into the ocean of the divine, into the ocean of love. That tiny little container dissolves. And now you're the ocean, inexhaustible. You are that inexhaustible wellspring. That's the truth of who you are, who all beings are. knowing that, we're then empowered to walk that into the world. We can't just wave our hands and have a magic wand and terrible natural disasters will disappear. People who are deluded, and when people are deluded, they are in suffering. And we know suffering, individuals spread their suffering everywhere. So they flail about in suffering, creating suffering for themselves and others. This is what humans have encountered forever. The mystics say, wait a minute, but there's a state beyond this ordinary state of just dealing with those dynamics of a contracted, bound mind. Because everything we see, what's unfolding politically, economically, even much of what's going on naturally as disasters unfold from climate change, fueled by ignorance and greed. So mystics have seen this forever and said, wait a minute, the true refuge, that's going to the source. Whether the Buddhists were talking about it as Buddha nature, Christ, followers of Christ, it's Christ consciousness. Each tradition has its ways of talking about it. But the reality is one. Different names, one reality. The all-pervasive, loving, infinite consciousness that we can find refuge in. That gives us the strength to walk through this world and the fires of this world. So we keep coming home to that. We follow the longing beyond what the conditioned mind was taught. We have $1 trillion marketing industry trying to tell us our longing will be fulfilled if we own this, buy this, consume that, have that, etc. Swaha, gone. There's only one source that will satisfy, and that's knowing and living, immersed in that knowing of the infinitude of being, that all-embracing, loving, compassionate, wise presence, the truth of who you are, that allows us then to see what this world is, what's unfolding, and see beyond it, see through it, to the divine, here and now, even as all this, even as all this world. Because this world, the yogis have talked about it as karma bhumi. It's a world of cause and effect. It's a world where we incarnate to really learn what happens as a result of our actions. Mental, physical, speech, everything. So we have to experience the consequences of those things and learn to be empowered to choose the way of love over and over, to know it and live it into this world. Then we can also enter the states where we can see beyond this domain of karma bhumi and see the magnificent infinitude of creation beyond this, beyond solar systems, galaxies, physical universes. Consciousness itself has the capacity to know it all, because it already does. It's already fully present, embracing it all. To get to know that individually, to get to know that ourself, to get the radical state of freedom that is born of true knowing, to step beyond the mind, step out of its shadow, into the light of your sublime self. So we're called to that over and over and over. And we begin to discern that our longing for relief from suffering is the longing to know the infinite as our own self, to become immersed in that divine living presence already pervading us, shining through every atom in your body. So we do the practices, and we do empowered practices. One of the empowered practices we do is mantra. We chant mantra as a throb. It's like a homing beacon. Mantra arises from the infinite as a unique form, different than ordinary language. Language serves its purpose, but it keeps us within the confines of the mind because it's mind-born language. Mantra arises from the infinite as a way of drawing us back into the infinite, drawing us back into that full knowing, dissolving all the thoughts, the content, the stuff in the mind that we so habitually identify with. So mantra is a potent way for doing that, whether it's through chanting aloud, as we're going to do in a few moments, or silently repeating it. The silent repetition of mantra is a practice called japa. You can repeat that all day long. It's a refuge. What is the mind doing if it's not repeating mantra? If it's not dialing into the presence of the divine, what is it doing? It's just talking to itself. It's talking trash talk, garbage talk. Oh, here and there it's useful, it's task related, serves dharma, but think of what it does 99% of the time. It's not doing that. So why not give it mantra most of the time? It'll strengthen it, focus it, clarify it, and then when it needs to be active in service of dharma, in service of your life and your loved ones, it'll be right there, fully present, clarified. So mantra is so important as a practice for being able to walk through the day protected by this throb of the infinite. So a mantra literally means that which protects. Protects us. Oh, it protects us from the mind. Ours and others. Because it's the mind that causes the suffering. To get free of the mind, we come home to the self. To come home to the self, we enter the vehicle of mantra. We become absorbed in it. Absorb means we identify with that. We identify with, and we're going to be chanting Om Kalima, that I am that emanation, that mantra. I am that throb of the infinite. I am the source of the throb of the infinite. I am the one that it even refers to. The great mother who gives birth to all, has become all, of her own free will. She is all that is, and all that's beyond. That's what's invoked, your true nature. Om Kalima, Om Kalima, Om Kalima. So we say it with that awareness. We chant it with that awareness. We silently repeat it with that awareness. To enter the fullness of who we are, the truth of who we are. To leave behind the shrunken, contracted notions of who we are that are the conditioned mind and all it inherited about itself from our culture, our families, our religions, everything else. Swaha. We let it go. Until the mantra itself dissolves us in stillness, in silence. That which is beyond words. Where the mantra, the repeater of the mantra, the source, the divine, they just merge. And there's nothing to speak of. There's no perceiver and perceived. There's just that. You can't even say it's one. There's nothing to compare it to. There's no other that it's one different from. It's all that is. Ineffable, inexpressible, beyond words, but not beyond your consciousness. You have the innate power of consciousness to know this, revel in this, dissolve in this, bathe in this, drown in this, swim in it, walk it into the world. That's the gift of a human birth. We have these capacities. What are we doing with this human life? We're called to know, and then walk that knowing into the world for the benefit of all. So we're going to be chanting Om Kali Ma and for a few minutes, and then we will just sit in the stillness. Just in the stillness, the silence. If the mind moves, let it move with Om Kali Ma, Om Kali Ma, with the awareness of I am that. I am that. I am all that is. Come to know that. And you'll be able to choose love at all times, in all places. Knowing. Love has already chosen you. You already live in the divine embrace. But like a child in a mother's arms, lost in a nightmare, we don't know it. When we wake up, the child snuggles against the mother. Comes home to that love. Wake up from the dream. You're in the arms of the beloved. Here and now. Always here and now. So we'll chant for a few minutes, and then we'll sit in the stillness. This is a time for dissolving the poor mind. It's the mind that suffers, not yourself. It's the body suffers, not yourself. When we identify with mind and body, we become filled with their suffering. When we come to know the fullness of ourself, our divine self, the living presence of the divine, we embrace the suffering mind in love. We embrace the suffering body in love. We embrace all minds suffering with love. We embrace all bodies, all beings suffering with love. That's what we're capable of. That's what we can walk into this world. So now we chant. Resting that awareness, bare awareness of being, of I am. I am the boundless one. infinite. I am. We end with this prayer, and may all our practices truly benefit everyone, and may all beings know complete freedom from suffering. Namaste. Taking refuge in the truth of who you are, truth of the living presence that envelops all, is all, inseparable from an atom or a galaxy, all are one, all you. Know that, know, aham, I am. That's how we reclaim all our power. That's how we walk through the fires of the world, enveloped in that, knowing the truth of who we are. The truth of what all of creation is. The truth of the true nature of all beings, the sublime, the divine. So keep coming home to the truth of who you are. Take refuge in mantra, a throb of your own divine self. Whether it's Om Kalima, Om Namah Shivaya, simply Aham, Hamsa, I am that, I am all that is. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Tere Tu Tere Tore Soha. Om Tere Tam Soha. So many ways the infinite has taken forms, these graceful forms, to take us by the hand, to reassure us, to infuse us with the truth of who we are, to give us that refuge that we can live every moment within that knowing, that space of luminous knowing. Just the other side of the mind. And be true to that, the truth of who you are. Keep coming home to that. And together, there's another refuge, the Sangha, the company of like-minded beings who hold the truth, hold the light, even if our light seems to flicker or dim. You all hold the light. Hold it aloft. Don't hide it beneath a basket. So I want to thank you for coming this evening and bringing the light of your divine self, sharing it with everyone, being ones who endeavor to know more and more fully and deeply that truth, and be empowered to walk it into the world for the benefit of all beings. It's you. It's so sublime. Thank you. Thank you for being you. And thank you for coming this evening and sharing that with all. Jai Ma.